What's up guys, Evan here, back with a special video. Today I'm joined by my good friend DuckOfTheStarz.
Hey, Evan. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. So, since today marks the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie here in the US, we thought it'd be a great time to go over the other two less successful attempts to bring the plumber onto the silver screen. If you haven't taken the chance to like this video and subscribe to both channels yet, please consider doing so. It really helps us out as small creators. And without further ado, we present to you...
So let's review a little history. It's the middle of the 1980s and Mario is huge. And when something is huge in capitalism, you make as much shit as you can off of it. We're talking about Super Mario Bros. Famicom and NES games, Super Mario Bros. Merchandise, Super Mario Bros. Arcades, and even a Super Mario Bros. Song. Out of all of that, something may strike you as a little bit odd. There's no Super Mario Bros. Movie. Unless you lived in Japan. You see, simultaneously there was an ongoing revolution in Japanese animation. So what better time than now to create a feature film about Mario and his brother in this special animation style. And thus was born the first Mario movie on July 20th, 1986. In Japan, it's called Super Mario Bros. Pichi Hime Kyushutsu Dai Sakusen. Or in English, Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. Since the name is so long, it is often referred to colloquially just as the Mario anime. Now, I'd love to show you the VHS that was released in Japan, but the print was so limited that you'd have to be willing to shell out thousands of dollars to get a copy today. However, a fellow YouTuber has digitally restored and uploaded the entire film for free with subtitles. I'll provide a link in the description below for anyone who's interested. So what happens in this film? Well, Mario is up late one night playing on his Famicom when suddenly Princess Peach jumps out of the television and is kidnapped by the great King Koopa himself. She hands him a necklace which he uses with his brother Luigi to accidentally cross over to a different world, the Mushroom Kingdom. The character to blame for their accidental voyage, Kibidango, doesn't appear in any Mario game afterwards. As it turns out, this character was sent to the brothers by an old hermit who believes that the two brothers are the only ones who can save the kingdom. They have to collect the Triforce, and no, I'm not kidding, in order to reach King Koopa's palace before he forcefully marries himself to Peach. The three embark on a perilous journey, with Luigi for some reason being completely obsessed with the money they'll make along the way. As you might expect, they make friends along the way and eventually make their way to Koopa's castle, where in a final standoff, Mario remains victorious. And there is actually a surprise twist to this film, so spoiler alert. Remember that Kibidango dog? Well, he actually turns out to be a prince, the Prince Haru, who was supposed to marry Princess Peach when King Koopa stepped in. And so unlike the games, Mario doesn't get the girl at the end of the day. Sorry Mario, maybe next film. To tell you the truth, this movie is not bad at all. Especially when you consider that the source content only consisted of the first Super Mario Bros. Game, it's impressive how accurate they were able to make the Mushroom Kingdom. Hell, they even make a nod to the fact that all toads were turned into coins, something which is actually canon in the first game. It follows a fairly standard hero's journey path, but that doesn't mean it isn't a nice film for anyone who enjoyed the original game growing up, as well as a neat part of gaming history. Why Nintendo has been so hesitant to re-release this one, I'm not sure, but that's certainly not the case for the next one. Take it away, Evan.
Thanks, John. After Japan's attempt at making a video game movie, Disney, under Hollywood Studios, took a swing at the idea, bringing us the Super Mario Bros. Movie, not to be confused with the new 2023 animated film. This movie came out in 1993, the beginning of a new era in Hollywood. The 90s brought the introduction of widespread use of computer graphics into its movies. For context, movies in the 90s are notorious for having terrible visual effects, like PS2 level graphics. Anyway, the movie, oddly enough, starts in the late Cretaceous period, when the asteroid that wiped the dinosaurs off the planet simultaneously creates a split in space-time. This allowed for the dinosaurs to continue living on a desolate version of Earth. Fast forward about 65 million years, and the Mario Bros. Are struggling to get by in New York City. They run into Daisy, a NYU archaeologist student studying the fall of the dinosaurs. We later find out that Daisy is the same person that we saw in the beginning of the film, where an egg is abandoned at a church and hatches into a human. She's suddenly abducted by Iggy and Spike, who we later find out to be Koopa's cousins and servants. She's taken into another dimension where we discover that the dinosaurs have evolved into bipedal intelligent creatures that just so happen to look like humans for some reason. Probably budgetary restrictions. The film mostly revolves around the Mario Brothers and their attempt to rescue Daisy, who's held captive by Koopa. Koopa has taken over the alternate dimension known as, I kid you not, Dino Hatton. Yes, that's what it's really called. Anyway, Koopa plans to invade the human world and exploit it with its many resources. He rules as a tyrant using a de-evolution machine to silence anyone in opposition of him. The Mario Brothers, aided by a variety of different friends they meet along the way, put a stop to Koopa's plans. Luigi falls in love with Daisy over the course of the film, but she believes that she has to stay behind to rebuild her homeland. The brothers return to New York City and begin to relive their lives once again as normal. Everything has seemingly returned to normal when, out of nowhere, Daisy bursts in asking for help and the film ends. Now then, bearing in mind the hodgepodge of a plot I just described to you, following every cliche in the book, it may seem difficult to see the movie from the point of view of audience members back in 1993. However, if you took a look at the reviews from 1993, it's pretty clear that both audience members and critics hated it, even back then. It has all the goofy quirks present in most cheap 90s movies. Whether it's the movie's jank action, or its PS2 looking graphics, or its crappy writing. This movie is the prime example of a dollar bin 90s movie. As a matter of fact, you can find it online for like $5 or under. This movie was so bad that audience dismissed it and all video game movies as a whole for years to come. This hatred only ending recently with the live-action Sonic movies and most recently the Last of Us TV show. To be fair to the filmmakers, they were pretty much set up for failure from the start. At this point in time, Mario lore was very limited because there were only a handful of games released at this point. All they had to work with was the concept of a princess getting kidnapped and a plumber having to save her from the big turtle guy. They were also only given $48 million to work with, and to put that into perspective, Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, which came out a couple years later, was given $115 million to work with. As if that wasn't enough, just a few weeks before filming was set to begin, Disney bought the distribution rights to the movie, as I mentioned before, and they also demanded that large portions of the script get completely rewritten. Members of the film crew would later go on to admit that the new tone of the Disney-fied script didn't fit the sets that had already been built. And when you're given such a small budget and not much time, there isn't a whole lot you can do at that point. It was so bad that apparently they had shot scenes with strippers and other sexual content. That's right, they shot scenes with strippers in a movie about Mario. Unsurprisingly, this movie crashed and burned at the box office and was torn apart by audiences and critics alike. That all being said, here in 2023, Mario is finally making his return to the big screen, this time back in animated form, with Chris Pratt, but that's a whole different topic. This time with a more seemingly streamlined story and concept. But only time will tell if this movie actually saves Mario's cinematic reputation, or buries it even deeper into its already piss-stained grave. As you can see, the two examples of Mario cinema are widely different in concept and execution. Hopefully this new Mario movie will finally be the success that Nintendo has long wished for. Thanks again for tuning in, and if you haven't liked and subbed to either of our channels and you found this video interesting, please consider doing so. As smaller creators, we really appreciate all the support we can get. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next one.